All right, thank you for staying with Daybreak. Let's start the conversation on the state of the nation, and like we always do, we start by asking what direction is the state taking now, the current state of the nation, in your own description, before we get into the nitty-gritties, because we can see on the Daily Nation there's an issue about talks hit turbulence, Raila move jolts bipartisan talks, fresh demands from the opposition on the bipartisan talks. We'll talk about that, all that in just a bit. But joining me now in studio is Honorable Edwin Sifuna, Senator for Nairobi. Thank you very much for making time.
Thank you.
And Dr. Ekuru Aukot, Party Leader, Third Way Alliance.
Thanks.
Thank you very much for making time. And Honorable Silvanus Osoro, Majority Whip, National Assembly. Thank you very much for making time. Silvanus, I'll start with you. How do you describe the state of the nation today? Are we heading in the right direction or wrong?
Exactly, perfect. I'll say it was perfect. It was, like you call it, it's a state of the nation. What the president gave was a state of the nation at the current state and the record of what is done in the past 1 year. And it took time, of course, he also mentioned about the challenges that we face as a country, the mitigation measures that is put in place to make sure that that is mitigated fully. He talked about the food security. He talked about what is done on the challenges of the food security. There is the subsidy fertilizer that that got his price reduced from 7,000 to 2,500 shillings. And that is a story of success. He talked about the security and what measures is putting in place, you know, matters terrorism and everything. He talked about the success stories of the Hustler Fund and even gave practical examples. In fact, I saw several senators really thumping their feet very fast when they had such success stories, and in particular Honorable Sifuna, and so many other success stories.
Okay.
Exactly.
Ekuru?
Well, to be honest with you, I think if Honorable Silvanus were to be very honest, the state of the nation is not looking good. And for me, I don't care about theories, those macro theories. I look at the life of an ordinary Kenyan, what they are going through. I like giving examples, simple examples. Sometimes I take Uber, Bolt, and I have a conversation with the drivers, and they will tell me things are really bad. Sometimes you get a fare of about, what, 180, 200 Kenya shillings. So I asked them, guys, so how do you manage this motor vehicle? Since the cost of fuel is more than the fare that you are actually charging me. You know what they say? One driver told me, you know, Ekuru, I would rather wake up in the morning and hustle than just sit at home and do nothing. So that, honestly, from that micro level, describes to you the state of the nation. So when I heard the president's speech, it was more about UDA politics, nothing to do with the state of the nation. Because the truth for the matter is, I would have expected the president to take stock of his political promises in 2022 vis-a-vis what he is offering the country right now. For example, he is the person who gave us milestones on what the administration will do by due date, by due in 6 months, in 3 months. He did that. He never addressed those issues. Instead, it is just about politicking. And to be honest with you, I mean, even if you look at some of the things that the president is doing, he is more of a shadow diplomat than the president of the Republic of Kenya. And he has actually come out to say that by globe-trotting, he is trying to find the direction Kenya will go.
The government spokesperson said that his trips, the 39 trips, have brought in more than 2 trillion Kenya shillings.
Yeah, but what is the effect of those trillions into the Kenyan's economy? Because for me, there has to be an effect. There has to be a benefit to the people of Kenya. What is the common good that has come out of it? You know? And secondly, you cannot say that by just globe-trotting out there. And by the way, in fact, I'm so happy that they have raised the issue of trillion, because they are the same people who say that they will never borrow. What I would have expected the president also to say, okay, what is the extent of our national debt? And how are we actually even repaying it? Because that is a burden that is visited upon the ordinary Kenyan. Silvanus here will not say it, because him is a man who says that he has made a lot of money, and he's even talking about telling him if he can give us a little because this economy is so bad.
I'll give you a chance to respond to that big allegation.
Yeah, so I think, Trevor, if you have to be very, very honest, I mean, I'm sure Weshimo here can confirm, having run for being in public office, the kind of requests they receive every day, even some of us who are not elected, People ask you, sometimes people ask you for 200 bob. Actually, you wonder, what will 200 shillings do to this person?
Okay.
But somebody will ask you for 200 bob, Trevor. That explains you the state of our nation today. It is not looking good. Let's not pretend about it. In fact, if I was President William Ruto, I would have just told Kenyans the truth about the state of the nation, and then the mitigation factors, which of course Osoro is not even explaining, that he's putting in place to fix that problem.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sifuna, how do you describe the state of the nation today vis-a-vis the president's state of the nation?
Yeah, my position has been that the state of the nation is a state of the people, not the state of anything else. And I have advised Osoro that even when you tell lies, tell intelligent lies. He has started by saying he saw me stamping.
No, I saw senators. I didn't see you.
You said including Sifuna.
You weren't there.
I was not there because I have said publicly that I did not believe, I did not trust William Ruto to paint the true picture of the state of the nation. Because of his history, he's one of the people who stood up publicly and pronounced that a road that actually passes outside my rural home has been completed. And I had to leave the house and go and confirm whether that is true. And I know for a fact that road up to today is not completed. So going into that State of the Nation address, I knew he was going to come and gloss over issues. And because our standing orders require that we hear him in silence, I am not in the nature of sitting quietly when people are telling lies. I suspected that I was going to shout and say that is a lie, especially when he stands up and says the price of unga is now 150 shillings in the supermarkets in Nairobi, or that it is 70 shillings at Gorogoro, Trevor. And you know, for me, I am a marked man in that house. Both speakers are under instructions to rein in on key figures in the opposition to make sure that we don't speak truth to power. Mwe, you just say mwe, you are out for 3 months. Another, you shout again, you are out for 6 months. So because I want to continue to serve the people of Nairobi on the floor, I don't want to be kicked out, I decided not to attend that State of the Nation address. As I have said, Trevor, the state of the nation is the state of the people. So if you want to know the state of the nation, just speak to the people. Are people able to feed their families? Are they able to afford rent? They are looking at school fees in the coming new year, the levels of unemployment. If you have a president speaking to Parliament for a whole 1 hour, and he has not told you how many jobs he has created, because he has created no jobs, that tells you there's a problem. If he has not told you that he has made the lives of the people better than he found them, then there is a problem there. He speaks about, and I gave this example yesterday on the floor of the House, that you cannot tell us about how happy the creditors are that you're going to be able to pay them. How many people are able to service their loans, their debt in this country? People are being auctioned every day. If you open newspapers, Trevor, you will see people's properties being sold. They are unable to service their mortgages and their personal loans. So the situation is extremely dire, and we expect an administration to paint the true picture. I like what Senator Khalwale said on the floor of the House, that he admits that, in fact, in the history of his political career, he has never been as unpopular as he is right now. And it is because, not because Khalwale is a bad man. I believe Khalwale is still a good man. Yeah. And if he was here, I would tell him the same. If you wash off that yellow paint, there's a good man under there. But he admitted that he has never been as unpopular as he is right now. And it is because he's defending the indefensible. Tell the people the truth. Come to the House and admit that the things are difficult. Explain to them why you're visiting pain on them every day. Just yesterday, every single day we wake up, there is a new levy, there's a new penalty for hawking njugu. Honestly, Kenyans are at a break point. They need a break.
And Trevor, just to quickly add to what Sifuna said, I think the president could do better, or this administration could do better, if they reduce the PR. They are too much into PR. They're too much into glossing over issues. I think, like Sifuna has rightly said, and I don't even want to overemphasize, you need to look at the state of the individuals in this country, what they are going through on a daily basis. That should be able to tell you the state of the nation. The truth for the matter is people are not happy. And I think the less Osoros and the rest play less politics, the better for the country. Because that's the only way. It's not like we don't want President William Ruto's administration to fail. We want it to succeed. But like Sifuna said, even if you have to tell lies, at least, or if you cannot tell lies, if you cannot stop telling lies, at least reduce them.
Osoro, can you at least admit that the people are facing a difficult time? No,
that is true. That is true. And even the president is on record having said that. And, Kenya Kwanza administration is not really living in denial that really life is not difficult. We've been saying that all over in public, that really, the economy is not doing very well. You remember the deputy president started from, brought up this discussion from the onset when they took over power, even on the day of swearing in. And the very first step, I think it's first to accept that truly we are not really doing very well. But again, we are not keeping quiet. We are not sitting pretty well, and that things will go in order by themselves. Yeah. What we are doing, as we said, and that also came out in the State of the Nation address, because again, the challenges we are facing as a nation are not unique. Those are challenges that are universal. Some of the things that we are facing are not really, we're not living in a vacuum, we're living within the world, and we travel all over. My colleague seniors here can confirm that world over, things are very tough. What we should actually be discussing here today is, are we really putting measures in place, to mitigate the challenges that are global, that are, that we are all facing? Yeah. And
but Trevor,
let me finish. I'll give you a chance.
I don't want Osoro to get away with this, because this is one of the issues that we really must address in this country. Excuses after excuses that things are global, but things are these.
Number one, we really must. You see,
let him finish. Then let me
challenge you so that you can respond.
Okay.
You see, is it the year before or last year we were talking about Russia-Ukraine war as an excuse for the cost of living? Just the other day, I had a minister, a cabinet secretary, saying because of Hamas-Israeli war. I mean, this is complete balderdash. I'm sorry to excuse my language, but I think the more we become truthful, Osoro, to the problems of the country, the better. Let's stop this excuse, because when you go benchmarking those other countries, how come those other countries are not using the excuse that things are global?
No, but you don't live there.
Their people.
You don't live there.
But also, Osoro, even as you address what Ekuru is saying, we have evidence that the international prices of fuel have been fluctuating over the last 6 months, falling drastically in the month of October. But in October, the prices dropped to $804 per metric ton, the lowest since May. But here, the prices shot up.
Exactly, because our challenge, you see, every home has got their own unique challenges.
So these are our own.
For example, and I'll explain to you why. It is not really all the countries, like you said. It's just a select countries that have had their prices at the pump reduced, because maybe they've worked through the subsidy and government is paying, and they pay half, and you pay, the consumers pay half. But we can't do that, because our debt level as a country is very high. There are things that we can do, like things to do with subsidizing production, but we really can't subsidize fertilizer, and fuel, and that is why our prices, really are not reducing, because our debt level as a country right now, and because of also the shrinking dollar in our country so far, is really growing by the day. We are working very hard to pay our debt, external debts. We haven't even started paying our local debts.
Okay.
It's really quite a challenge.
So the spokesperson
our debt stands very high.
Years. Is that the official?
But that is the truth. We need to be truthful. Dr. Ekuru tells us that be truthful. When we tell you that we need about 2 years to mitigate these challenges, you raise the issue and say, you guys promised us. But we tell you the reality. The country is not doing very well, because what happened? In fact, can you imagine that we're still paying about 400 billion of the fuel subsidy that was taken in the last, I think, 2 or 3 financial years, and we really must pay.
Okay.
All right. We are paying the Eurobond. Do we stop paying our debts and allow this country go like the other failed countries have gone through? So what we are telling people is that we agree there is a challenge. Yeah. The only short-term mitigation measure that we've set is, number one, can we focus on how we can be able to have food security? And that is why we pushed on the fertilizer subsidy, so that we can have production. Okay. People will have food, the prices will be lower, the prices of food will go lower.
But you see, that's one of the lies that KK administration has never explained. Because remember, they used to say that we'll have a bumper uppers, then the price of Vunga will come down.
But that is true.
But it hasn't come down.
But the bump, man, we all live in this country. What level are our maize so far?
Let me say something, Trevor. First of all, let everybody take responsibility for the state of the people. The Ukrainians agree, and the Russians agree that they have played a part in making, global supplies problems and the skyrocketing prices of fuel. But also, when will you take responsibility for your own actions that have resulted in the pain of Kenyans? You took a vote, there was no Ukrainian there. There was no Russian to force your hand to vote for the finance bill that imposed an extra 8% on fuel. That 8% alone, Osoro, is responsible for up to 14 to 16 shillings on a litre of fuel. Take some responsibility. The Ukrainians are not the ones who brought the housing levy. It is not Hamas that told us that we need to impose these new levies here. They are not the ones who are bringing these new charges that you're imposing on Kenyans. Take some responsibility. That is the sort of honesty that we want. And when William Ruto was speaking to Parliament, he says that as leaders we must listen to the people and do what they want us to do. He is lying because he knows what the people of Kenya have said. We have spoken more than enough times. All sorts of organizations, individuals have said that in the current economic circumstances, please don't impose more taxation on Kenyans. He has refused to listen. Then he stands up in Parliament and says this is the responsibility of Kenyans. Number two, this question of saying we have to pay our debt at all costs. We are so keen on satisfying these international creditors. It is what they call. If there is an example of bleeding a leech to fatten a heifer, this is what these people are doing. At what cost or sorrow must Kenyans fall down and die for us to meet these obligations so that you people are happy? And when you talk about this question of subsidized fertilizer, yesterday I was forced to substantiate a claim that I made on the floor of the House that in fact you cannot subsidize something that you received for free. No. You can't reduce the price of something you got for free. What I want people to understand is that this so-called subsidized fertilizer, the Russian government confirmed that it gave us a consignment of fertilizer for free. When did you ever see the agriculture CS distributing free fertilizer, saying this is the free fertilizer we have gotten, get it for free? It is not there. They actually sold that fertilizer to farmers and they claim it is subsidized fertilizer. Now, what the Kuru quote, yes, I did bring a document and the speaker says he's going to look at it and see if it is authentic. But the truth of the matter is you can't subsidize something you receive for free. Now, Osoro, this maize crop, I am also a farmer. I used to be a farmer in Western Kenya. How long does a crop of maize take to mature from the time you put a seed on the ground?
When did you?
Now, just a minute. This free fertilizer, you received it in the first 3 months, the first quarter of your administration. Maize does not take that long to grow. Up to today, if you're telling us that maize crop is still in the farms, is that what you're telling us? So why are the prices not coming down? Why are the prices not coming down? And the rains have come more than, I can count more than 3 harvests up to today.
I think we need to be very honest.
Let me finish. Because, Osoro, you must understand that you people do not have any idea about what you're doing. And the sooner you accept to be helped, the better for the nation. Because the nation, I am telling you, the problem with you is that because of that cocoon, that yellow cocoon that you are in, you think there is no talent in this country. There is talent in this country, but you have chosen to have mediocre, incompetent people in places of power that they can't do anything about it. So what we are telling you, please take some responsibility for the decisions that you yourself took. Number two, when you talk about the Hustler Fund, you are giving Mama Mboga a loan for her to expand her stock. If she was buying 1 gunia of sukuma wiki, you're saying she buys 2. But who is she selling to? Because you have raided the pockets of Mama Mboga's customers to an extent that people are sleeping hungry. They don't have money to spend. You have seen people closing shops, exhibition shops, people who are selling second-hand clothes. Those Mama Mbogas you're talking about. For as long as there is no spending power in the population, you are wasting time giving these people loans. And when I said on the floor of the House that, in fact, data from CBK shows that the default rate of the loans that have been advanced under the Hustler Fund is way higher than the commercial bank's default rate, I was again asked to substantiate. So I had to go and bring documents from government to explain to these government people that their programs are not working. So, Trevor, let us be honest about the things that we are telling the people. Now, lastly, you were reported, Osoro, as members of Parliament of Kenya Kwanza, having gone to State House to tell the president that the ground is bad, that things are becoming impossible for you on the ground. You people only care about your popularity. And there is a statement that was very telling. If it is true, the president said that, Trevor, we are in problems, deeper problems than we think. The president was reported as having told these members of Parliament that you don't have to be popular all the time. So the plan appears to be to squeeze Kenyans as much as possible until year 4. And then at year 4, you start saying, oh, now we are going, we are coming, you can have your subsidy if you want, you can have this, you can have that. I am telling you, Osoro, we will make sure that Kenyans do not forget the pain that you've inflicted on them and the consequences of electing incompetent people who cannot admit that are unable to run a country.
That
is what you have done.
Were you in State House? Did you tell?
No, you see, this
one we can substantiate here.
Exactly.
Yes.
I actually called for that meeting myself.
So
that is my responsibility.
You did go to
Exactly. That is my responsibility.
You didn't call the meeting.
I whipped my members to attend that meeting, and that is true. Because usually we sometimes hold such PG meetings in the precincts of Parliament or in State House where the party leader is best. But to the extent that Sifuna says that he said, I mean, somebody raised the issue of popularity. That's a lie.
What was your message?
But it was reported.
It was reported.
Whatever
is reported can't be. You don't take whatever is reported as gospel truth.
No,
because really, you should ask.
But
I was there. I was there. It wasn't true. That issue did not even come forth. We were only discussing.
Cost of living did not even.
No, of course it came forth. It was discussed. The cost of living was discussed. We discussed about our plan, like the housing, everything that we are planning as a government.
What was the head of state told about the cost of living?
Yes.
No. I really can't speak out on what. No, there was nothing about popularity.
Khalwale said it on the floor of the Senate.
There was nothing about popularity. I mean, is Halwale our spokesperson?
He's your whip. He's your equivalent.
But I was there.
So you're telling us
popularity.
He was your equivalent.
Why do you want to force me to say that the issue?
So what did he say then?
The issue, of course, the president explained to us his plan.
Yes.
As far as these challenges, sorting these challenges is concerned.
Yeah.
He talked about, we talked about the issues that are coming to the floor of the House even today.
Okay.
You know, we talked about, the main issue was actually the Haiti deployment. By the
way, Ekuru is in court.
Which Ekuru is in court.
And this is coming.
And he says it's unconstitutional. Of course, it's coming to the floor today. He claims it's unconstitutional. I do not know how.
I don't claim it is unconstitutional.
It is constitutional. It is actually, it is constitutional.
You're heading into the realms of sub judice now, but
no, it is actually constitutional.
Yeah.
Are we really?
Trevor.
Let him finish, then I'll give you a chance. Yes.
My point is very simple. Yeah. He claims that. Whatever, we need to take responsibility of our actions and everything that we do in the floor of the House because you're squeezing Kenyans and such like that. Then he says we are lying, maize, all those kind of things. I was with Sifuna in this very show when we started at the very first quarter of our administration. You remember very well. And that time, we were talking about drought then. I mean, who doesn't live in this country? We had about a long, our agriculture, our irrigation system is it's dependently rain-fed. And we entirely depend on rain for farming and everything. For about 7 months of this year, there were no rains. You remember very well, we were going around. And in fact, that time, with tremendous respect, civil activists like Dr. Ekuru Ekot was moving around telling people that, now these people are praying for rain. I mean, how do you tell us that the president is a praying person? How do you pray for, they complain literally over everything. You do this, they complain. You do this, they complain. They challenge everything.
Trevor,
yeah.
Let me, you know why we must,
just finishing.
And then we must complain, Osoro.
Yes.
I'll tell you why we must complain. Because you are the people who came forward and told Kenyans that if you elect us, we will fix ABC.
And that is what we are doing.
No. Listen, calling you to account is not complaining. You must distinguish that as a parliamentarian. We are calling you to account.
And when we explain...
I think Osoro, one of the things that I would have expected the president to explain, I'm not an economist, but I think the little I know about, for example, even just borrowing, is that you can actually renegotiate a loan.
That has been done.
To give yourself some time. I remember during COVID, most of us were hit when we were paying our mortgages. You had to go to the bank and tell the bank, give us some moratorium of a certain... Why isn't the government explaining to us, for example, what it is doing in terms of renegotiating this national debt? Instead, they keep on telling us, we have to pay. We don't have to. I mean, government will always pay. There is no poor government in the world. Government will always... But what mitigation measures are you putting in place?
Yeah.
And secondly, Osoro, let me tell you this. Overtaxing Kenyans will never grow the economy of this country. It will never. You are not telling us what industries, for example, that you have created. I do believe that in all the 47 counties of this country, there is an economic activity that you can actually industrialize to be able to create jobs, to be able to put money into people's pockets. Overtaxing Kenyans does not make sense, and it has never developed any country in the world.
Kenyans been overtaxed? Because we also need, you see, when you talk about the housing.
Give you one tax.
Just one.
One tax. When you increase VAT on petroleum, it's common sense. That affects almost everything. Just that alone.
You know, there are things that we really do not. There are things,
don't you see the impact of VAT?
I see that. But
petroleum.
But this is not
Look at the
unique
sectors
in this country. By the way, cross the border, just within our region, the neighborhood. What is the VAT percent on fuel and
why is
in Uganda
and Uganda, which is a landlocked country, and not in Kenya? Can you explain that to Kenyans?
How cheap is it?
It's cheaper.
Because that is a lie. It's about, in fact, as we are speaking right now, Uganda pricing are higher than us.
I don't think so.
It is Tanzania. Trust me, Tanzania is cheaper than us, but Uganda is higher than us. Tanzania is cheaper because of subsidy, which we can't do. We can't do.
Because we can't afford it.
We can't afford it.
Okay.
We can't live beyond our means. We need to tell people.
Don't allow Osoro to engage in kizungu mingi here. And he will hide behind, many words here to say literally nothing. Osoro, give us a justification. If the Constitution in Article 12 gives an entitlement, a constitutional entitlement to every citizen to an ID, then you wake up one day and you say, if you want an ID, you have to pay 1,000 shillings or 2,000 shillings.
No, that was a printer's mistake.
No, what do you mean by a printer's mistake?
It was, and it has been corrected. It was not rectified.
It was withdrawn.
It was
because of the noise that you are criticizing. If Kenyans had kept quiet, you characters are able to do anything you want with the lives of Kenyans. If we had not made noise about this thing, you would have actually retained those charges because you are shameless. And then you come here and you tell people long stories. Just tell me what is the justification for that. I would not be ashamed, Osoro. Because we have seen this consistently. You have defended things that are not defensible. You know the people are struggling. You impose new taxes and you vote for those taxes. You yourself, as whip, as the MP for South Mugirango, you vote for that the tax, knowing very well the people of South Mugirango cannot afford.
Which particular tax have we passed the region?
What do you mean?
Because when you talk about the fuel, we had to be within.
Also, I've read the Finance Act 2020.
The one you voted for
myself.
Exactly. Yeah, that's what we are saying.
But that very act reduced some taxes. I mean, and exactly. That
you know, Trevor,
it reduced some taxes on gas.
I hope viewers are actually watching how painful it is for Osoro to actually defend this government. You know, he's really struggling. You know, and I sympathize with him. But I think Osoro, let's do this. I think let's talk about Kenya. Yeah. We talk about Kenya. We want the government to succeed, but please stop lying.
Can we talk about the successes, the success stories about this country? Let me tell you.
Tell us.
For example, you talk about the housing levy,
which doesn't make sense.
It makes a lot of sense. Do you ever imagine? By the way, if you read through yesterday's paper, you'll realize that we have advertised for more than 30,000 units.
Can we crack the figures by the Trevor?
I tell you
on housing levy. Let's crack.
Let him finish.
Let me finish. We talk about. I want you to imagine this country with the state of this country in another 10 years. Because right now we are about 50 million Kenyans. With the land inadequacy and the resources that we have, the very limited resources that we have as a country, housing will really be a challenge in a few years to come. You know, it will shock you. I was in Zambia the other day and I noticed that 1 acre of land is about 30,000 Kenya shillings in Zambia. Why? In terms of land mass, they are bigger than us, almost the size of Tanzania, but they are only 18 million. They got independence almost the same time as us. But we are small in terms of landmass. We are about 50 million, growing by the day.
We are 55 million.
55 million now. Look around the informal sectors in Nairobi. I mean, people are all flocking in the cities. And the government, during our plan, when we are launching our plan and our manifesto in Kasarani, we told people that we have a housing plan. And the housing plan will be contributory. Just like the successes that we've done about the universal health coverage that we just passed the other day. Then we told people that you will contribute some small amount of money to help us, you know, settle this housing thing.
Yeah.
When you look at your paper today, page 35, I think, of the Nation, is talking about the affordable housing program that we have and the houses that we want to build. Those are the success stories. It is a little bit painful to contribute 1,000 shillings, but look at the benefits that will befall this country in another 5 or so years.
Okay.
Then look also on the successes of the universal health coverage. It was not practical to tell me, Osoro, earning close to 1 million, that I pay 1,700 shillings for NHIF, and a woman in the village, somebody selling the mama mboga, pay almost the same amount of money. Now we decided, through of course the House, that we pay that in percentage.
Okay.
You know, and those who are not able to pay can be able to access the medical cover, or the medical care through our contribution.
Okay.
Even as we look at the negatives and the things that we may really act in the extreme, there are other success stories that we are doing.
Fair point. That's why we've given you a chance to explain.
Exactly. But Trevor, don't let him get away with that. When you speak about a success story, it should be at the end of the story. You cannot tell us a success story about plans. How many units have been built under this housing?
So many.
No. I can assure you, Osoro, no single unit has been delivered under the
problem. No. Let me cut it, because that's a lie. I wanted to cut it down.
We'll give you a chance to
show me.
Calm down, Osoro.
Every single time I have seen him around here, like he comes to Nairobi and goes to the project in Mukuru. That project was launched under Uhuru Kenyatta. I want to be told that out of the housing levy that we started deducting in July of this year, these are the number of units have been delivered. So you can call it as a success story.
Okay.
Number two, when you talk about universal health coverage, Osoro, we passed this legislation just the other month. I am telling you, you cannot speak about a success story at the beginning of the story. Show us something that you have actually delivered. We are tired of plans. Hii maneno ya tumetenga, tumepanga, tutafanya. Kenyans are tired of that language. You show us one outcome, one policy outcome. Then you can call it a success story. Don't tell us stories here about the things that you've been talking about for the past years.
No.
But
if you care to listen,
Osoro, just
let me tell you. Hold on.
Kindly tell us this. Housing levy quarter 1 KRA collected just over 10 billion.
Correct.
The target was financial year for 59 billion. But the PBO raised concerns that there is even no framework yet to release the funds to implement the affordable.
That's what I'm saying. So which units have you built using that fund?
You see, Sifuna, let's be practical. When was the housing levy passed? When was the Finance Act passed?
Yeah, so don't call it a success story.
It's a success story.
Call it a story. It is still a
but it's still a success, because
it's a story.
It is still you who will come here and raise the procurement issues, Article 227 here, about the procurement process.
You are missing my point.
We have just, it is success.
No, you are missing my point.
Collected sufficient amount of money.
You are missing my point.
Hold on. We have collected sufficient amount of money. You see, the housing thing did not just start yesterday. It started under the Uhuru regime. But different from us, it was not really contributory. It wasn't really mandatory for people to contribute then. What we've done, we've taken over what was happening in slow pace. Now we are hastening it. So even those houses that you are saying, that they were built by Uhuru and such like that, did they stop? Do we stop?
Just
these houses are not?
Just a minute or so.
We have seen houses in Ruiru that now we've paid through the hustler.
Just a minute. Just a minute.
The other day.
Leader, I am telling you this. What Trevor is telling you, you have collected X amount of money for a housing levy, right? A housing fund. Until you deliver a unit using those resources, you cannot call it a success story. It is still a story. Number two, you having money. First of all, you have a very bad history with people's money, as a government generally. So you having that money there, you cannot tell us that is a success story. Number three, also cumulatively, the number of deductions on people's pay slips. If you look at the tax that you imposed on us, the fuel, the VAT, the housing levy, people are earning negative salaries, People are unable to live their lives. So please address the cumulative impact of the decisions that you've taken, the policies that you have implemented as a government, and don't call anything a success story until you have actually delivered what was promised under that particular program. We don't want stories.
Okay. I have to take a quick break now. I have to take a quick commercial break.
I've got a general question which I think Osoro must address when we come back. Looking at the KK administration, some of the people in this KK administration, they are not newcomers in government. They are very, very senior position, vice presidents, ministers, and all that. So really, we talk about the state of our nation today, we are actually dealing with caricatures, people who now are proving to Kenyans that actually they are not able to govern. They are not able to give any solution. Because, for example, William Ruto, the party leader of Mr. Osoro here, is arguably, I think I might be wrong, the longest elected politician in the country to date. You know, he's the longest. So he cannot come and start second guessing on how to fix the problems of this country. Same with many of the ministers. So I think you guys, you need to come down and admit that you never had a plan, you know, from the very beginning. And there's nothing wrong with you re-evaluating yourself now to say, okay, Kenyans, I think we may have made some mistake or we overstated certain promises. Yeah. Now we can go back.
But is a 2-year plan now better? Because the government spokesperson is saying now we need to...
Trevor,
it was 3 months.
No,
it was 6 months.
It was in 6
now what has happened?
Yes, exactly. So,
but
now it is 2 years.
That is why, you see...
let's come back and talk about that. I have to take a quick question.
Yes. You come up with a plan, you say in a month's time, in 3 months, in 6 months. Now you keep on shifting it because it's all about 2027 now. It's no longer about fixing the problems of Kenya in 2023.
Okay, let's take that quick commercial break. Then we'll come back. We talk about the front page of the Daily Nation. Here, Raila moved Jolt's bipartisan talks. This is now, they're calling it a fresh demands. We'll talk about the list there. We see 9 of them. And this is on the NADCO talks. We'll talk about that shortly. Trevor Mbija at Citizen TV Kenya. Use the hashtag Daybreak. See you in just a bit.